What is up, everyone? Brandon Ferst, aka First Report, representing the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench. We are first. Welcome into another edition of the Changeup presented by the network. We break down everything Major League Baseball has to offer. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Bryanna Winner. You can find Bryanna at bwinner12 on Twitter. How are you doing today?
Good, ready to talk baseball, and I still can't believe you forgot that one storyline.
You know, it could have been our little secret, but yes, when I put this,
I didn't say
together,
what it was.
Yeah, well, I'll be the one because it will be the first topic we'll talk about. We'll have definitely some early season storylines we're going to touch on. Do our normal. Bryanna will take us into the winner's circle. We'll talk a little Angel baseball. I will talk a little Padre baseball, and then we'll do our 3 ups and 3 downs. But yeah, we do have storylines to talk about, and probably the biggest one. Yeah, I forgot to put down. I'm not going to lie. Till about 10 minutes ago, Bryanna reminded me, hey, Miguel Cabrera got 3,000 hits. And yeah, take this hat off and put the dunce cap on me right now. But no, but good thing. That's why Bryanna's here. Let's be honest. She's the one doing all the hard work. I'm just over here trying to look pretty. But Miguel Cabrera does get 3,000 hits he joins I believe it's Willie Mays and Hank Aaron as the only players ever with 3,000 hits, 500 home runs, and a career lifetime batting average over 300. Miguel Cabrera going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, a generational talent, kid member, and I think it was 2003, 19 years old, hitting a home run off Roger Clemens, and now his career has almost come full circle. Still doing all right. Definitely has come down from his prime, but 3,000 hits for really one of the best baseball players of this generation. Bryanna, what are your thoughts on Miggy getting 3K?
It should have been earlier if it wasn't for those damn Yankees.
Yeah.
I get why you would intentionally walk him, but come on, you got booed by your own crowd for that one. Like, come on.
Yeah. And it blew up in their face too. I believe the next guy who came up hit a 2-run single. So it didn't go as planned for them. But yeah, Miggy gets it done. I believe it was the next day or the next game, goes opposite field through the so for Miggy, first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think there's a debate there. Congratulations to him. He is one of the best to ever do it. And he's going to be rolling into Cooperstown very soon in 5 years after he decides to hang it up. Absolutely no doubt about it. Unanimous, we'll see. There's always that one guy who decides hitters aren't allowed to go in first ballot because they're on steroids. And, you know, that guy doesn't deserve a Hall of Fame vote, to be completely honest. But anyways, some other storylines we'll get to. These aren't nearly as enjoyable. We have kind of players versus fans. Tim Anderson flipping off the fans. I believe it was on the road. I don't remember what city it was exactly, but flipping off the fans. Cleveland, thank you. Oh my gosh, Cleveland's in the middle of all of this. And then the Guardians, not really. I look at the Yankee fans as fully at fault in this one for so many ways. Obviously the Yankees walk off. I believe it was game 2 of their series. The Yankees end up sweeping the Guardians, but in game 2, I think it was a day game. The Yankees win on a walk-off base hit into right field. And the right field bleachers begin pouring beer bottles, beer cups, hot dog bottle or hot dog wrappers, water bottles. I mean, umpires were getting hit. It was pretty nasty. And it's pretty tough because about 2 plays earlier, I believe Stephen Kwan got hurt and the fans in left field were cheering. Now, look, I don't like certain players. I don't like the Dodgers. I don't like I never liked Barry Bonds, things like that, but I would never cheer for someone to get hurt. I wouldn't sit there and cry. Don't get me wrong. I'm not losing sleep over it, but the man is hurt. The person is hurt. Let him get better, get back to the game. You're not there to cheer. You're there to cheer for your team, not cheer for other people's misfortune or other people's to get hurt. And then left field, all that stuff happened. Stuff thrown onto the field. It was a bad look for Yankee fans against the Guardians, but it was also a bad look for Yankee fans on their own team. I mean, the Yankees couldn't even celebrate the win. None of us here are going to be Yankee advocates, but it's tough when you win a game like that and you're celebrating and you look over your shoulder and you see your fans just showering the other team with debris after a win. I could see maybe if it was a loss at the end of the season, but it's a win in April. Come on, people. But Bryanna, I mean, once again, we're not Yankee advocates here. We're not going to make too many excuses, but the Yankee fans really this past week showed, let's just say, maybe their true colors. What are your thoughts?
I thought Anderson was the White Sox.
He was. I apologize. I was focusing more on the Yankees side of things. I don't know the back. To be honest, I don't know what led up. I mean, I assume there was some yelling and some heckling. I don't know what led up to the Tim Anderson situation. I do, I watched that Yankee Guardian thing probably a little too closely with the breakdowns and all that. But yeah, the Tim Anderson, look, I don't think he's going to get fined or he has been fined. And I understand he has to, but I'm fine. If I'm heckling a player and he flips me off, I'm sorry. I feel like that's a badge of honor. And I think if you're a fan, that's probably how I feel. Now, there are lines. If we're getting, racist, if we're getting homophobic, if we're getting into the terms of just absolute toxicity, fine. But if you're going to remind Tim Anderson that maybe he's batting 180 and he flips you off, pat yourself on the back. But for the Yankee fan side of things, there is nothing you can say that went down that would make that okay.
I mean, to be fair, there are worse fans out there. Philadelphia.
100%. 100%. There probably would have been batteries if it happened in Philadelphia. I will admit that.
Yes, but it's still not a good look for anybody. Like, if it was one person, they'd probably be banned. They can't ban an entire stadium. So that's the only thing that is keeping them to get tickets. Yeah. They just can't get banned because it was the entire place. If it was one person, oh yeah, they'd get banned.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? Like it kind of started in left field, right? And they're excited that Quan got hurt, which once again, incredibly scummy, but whatever. It's your First Amendment right, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But then for it to happen, just two minutes later in right field, that's not a group of fans. That's not, this section of drunk frat boys who are tying one off on their bachelor party. No, this are two full sections, like you said, of people. And it's going to probably take a while for them to get through the footage and figure out what happened. I don't want to lump a whole fan base together, but it was an ugly look. And I'm not saying that all Yankee fans would have done this. And you could look at the video and there are Yankee fans that are looking out in disgust, as if there was a man with his daughter that actually he was right up on the wall and had to kind of shield her because they were being pelted with beer. That's the stuff right there that we don't see. We see the players versus the fans, but there's somebody who went to that game, maybe for the first time or second time, was on the fence and will never go to a baseball game again. And I completely agree. Believe me, as a Philadelphia fan, I'm never going to judge another fan base. But at the end of the day, this happened. And, if it happened in Philadelphia, it may have been treated a little differently. I think a lot of people would have been like, well, that's Philadelphia. And that's not a good thing. But for the Yankees and, their fans, that was a pretty black eye. And once again, I keep going back to the fact that you ruined your team's chances to celebrate the win. They had to stop their celebration and go out and tell you to behave like human beings. I mean, that right there is for as low as it gets. And once again, the Tim Anderson situation, I hope there was no toxicity thrown his way and, racist or homophobic or anything like that. And maybe it was just some playful banter that maybe crossed a little bit of a line, according to Tim Anderson, and he gave him the one finger salute and made sure that he reminded him that he is number one.
Well, another thing of news that just came out, this has to do with hockey and baseball. Blackhawks just hired a former Cubs assistant GM, Jeff Greenberg, to front office role.
Interesting. Baseball to hockey. That's interesting. So I'm sorry. He's moving from the Blackhawks to the Cubs, correct?
No, he's moving from the Cubs to the Blackhawks.
Got it. Interesting. Well, I mean, I know the Blackhawks have had a lot of issues, obviously on the ice, but also off the ice. We're not going to get into that here, but if you want to go down that rabbit hole, feel free. It is a dark, scary, and not a fun place to go. The Blackhawks have had a really rough year off the ice. So I do maybe wonder if this is more of a culture thing. Now, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen a assistant GM go from baseball to hockey or vice versa. That's an interesting one. So keep an eye on that. But I think possibly that could be a culture thing. Maybe bring someone in who's just going to kind of, I don't know, be the sheriff in town. Because like, once again, I don't want to get into the specifics of that Blackhawk situation, but it is as bad as it gets as far as I'm concerned, from off the ice stuff. So that's an interesting one. Thank you for that. We'll keep an eye on that hybrid, I guess. Man, that guy, maybe next he's going to the Bulls after a few years with the Blackhawks. But I'm sure the Bears, yeah, I was just going to say the Bears are waiting after then. But anyways, moving on to the other storyline we had, it was the Rays doing Rays things. They have a bullpen day, and guess what? They throw a combined 9-inning no-hitter. The only problem, well, they didn't score any runs either. So they have to go into the 10th inning where the Red Sox ended up breaking up the no-hitter and actually took the lead and were on pace to win the game until the bottom of the 10th when Kevin Kiermaier hit, from what he said, his first ever walk-off home run ever. Little league, minor league, high school, college, blah, blah, blah. And Kevin Kiermaier, great player, probably more known for his defense, but he goes out, hits a big walk-off home run in a game that, you know, looking like we're going to throw a no-hitter, a combined no-hitter. Oh my gosh, we're going to lose the game. Those swing of emotions really go through. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts? Combined no-hitter almost.
Oh, it sucks that they couldn't completely get it. If they had only scored one run, they would have had it. But I mean, they still won. Yeah. So what's the harm?
Yeah. Well, and I have a question for you. Do you think it is harder for a team to throw a single pitcher no-hitter? Okay. Zach Greinke or a Clayton Kershaw, one pitcher go out there, you're going to go all 9 innings, or is the combined no-hitter where you're going through 5 or 6 pitchers? What do you think? Do you think, because I was thinking about this and I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, I see it both ways. I see the combined no-hitter being tough because you have to have 5 or 6 pitchers who are on their game, but only for a small amount of time, while you have a starter who has to be on his game the entire time, but it's only one person. So I don't know. I just want to get your thoughts on what you think is more difficult, a combined no-hitter or a single pitcher no-hitter.
Single pitcher.
I kind of agree.
Just because they're going through all the motions every single inning. You don't know if they're going to get tired. You don't know if they're at some point going to get hurt going the full 9 innings. Yes, there are times where you don't want to take them out because like they're in the zone and you're afraid that somebody might get a hit if you take them out. Obviously, they would take them out if somebody did get a hit, but if let's say it was like the 7th inning, that's probably when they'd take him out. If they had gotten a hit against them. Otherwise, it's a lot harder when it's just one person. Yes, you have a lot more arms that you're using and you have to rest some of them for a few days, but the one pitcher one is harder.
I agree. And you kind of hit the nail on the head of the point that I was going to make too, is the combined no-hitter almost puts your team at a disadvantage going forward, right? Because you use these 5 or 6 pitchers. Well, they're probably 5 or 6 best relievers. And it's just, it becomes difficult at that point moving forward. Obviously, it is only April, so we're not looking too far ahead. But, you know, if you're a manager and this happens in a playoff game, I mean, that's kind of like a nightmare scenario. You're up 1-0 and you're sending your pitcher out for the 8th inning on 110 pitches just because we want to see a no-hitter. Like, that's a tough one. So interesting stuff there. And then the final 2 storylines, we have Ronald Acuna returning tonight after pretty much almost a year being out with the knee injury. And then the other storyline thought was very, Bryanna had texted me, I think it might've been for last Friday or something like that, whenever the game happened.
Know.
No. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It was the day that the Cubs put up 3 touchdowns against the Steelers. I mean, Pirates, and won 21-0. However, the Pirates get the last laugh and win 3 out of 4 from the Cubs. Folks, the Pirates are 500 right now. We're close. I think they're 8-10, but still, that's doing a lot better than we expected. But anyways, Cubs have fun one day, But the Pirates have fun those other 3, and Ronald Acuna also returning. What are your thoughts on those 2 final storylines we'll be talking about?
And Pittsburgh is ahead of the Cubs in standings.
Yeah.
Okay, they probably wasted all of their energy in that 21-0 game. I'm just gonna say it. As soon as I saw that score, I'm like, what happened?
Yep.
How? I just didn't understand. And then I showed it to one of my coworkers, and he's in disbelief. So it was quite funny. But at the same time, you still lose 3 of 4 to a team that was pretty much one of the worst teams in baseball the last, 5 years?
Yeah, since McCutchen and Cole were there. I don't quite know those, but yeah, at least 5 years.
Hey, they're not the worst team in baseball, though. So
no, I'm watching.
The worst team in baseball is in their division, though.
Yes. Yeah. It's I always used to say, especially with the Padres, they'd put up 10, 15 runs. And I'd always look at my buddy or my dad or whoever and just be like, they're going to get shut out tomorrow. They're going to score 1 or 2 runs the next 2 or 3 games. Like, that's just how the Padres are. And I feel like maybe the Cubs had the same thing. They win 21-0. And as my coach used to say in the middle of a route, hey, save some for tomorrow, guys. We're going to need them a lot more tomorrow than we need them today. And that's exactly what happened. And then for Ronald Acuna, I think as a baseball fan, you have to be excited. He is a top 5 player in the game. No matter what you believe, he's one of the young phenoms. And I cannot wait to see this guy back on the field. And for the Braves, goodness gracious, do they need him? They're in the middle of they're on a bit of a tough start. They're struggling a bit. However, it is still early, and talk to Braves fans about struggling mid-season, because last year they were, and guess what? Look where they ended up. So I don't think it's panic time yet, but the fact that Acuna comes back, that is huge, huge news for not only baseball fans, but obviously Braves fans who have been kind of salivating and waiting for this to kind of come back. So final bit of that as we get ready to dive into the winner's circle. I'll be honest with you, I'm not quite sure how the winner's circle is going to go, because there's definitely some positives. There's definitely some negatives. We're going to see how it goes. Yes, so there are some, but I know there's that one big elephant in the room of losing a series to a certain team. But anyways, Bryanna, the floor is yours.
They may have lost that series to that certain team, but they are currently first in the American League West, and they're only half a game up of Seattle. And the Angels are 12-7. We're going to talk about a different team in the Downs from that same division, and we're going to have fun. So they won their final game against the Astros right after our podcast. So they took 2 of 3, and that final game against the Astros saw Joe Adele hit a grand slam. And then big elephant in the room. The next series, they lost 2 of 3 to those pesky Orioles. And Brandon can attest, I was texting him like, how do you lose to the Orioles? I don't get it.
It was in Anaheim too, correct?
I don't know, but I was not happy.
Keep going.
I was not happy. Yeah. I was very confused, and no. I'm going to move away from that now. So they've taken 2 against the Guardians so far. They still have 1 more night to go. But last night, Taylor Ward was the man of the game. He hit a grand slam and was a single away from a cycle. How many cycles has there been? Especially now.
There have been a few. I mean,
the grand slam.
Oh, you know what? That's a great question. I think that would probably cut it heavily down. But I don't want to say the cycle is common, but in terms of like perfect games, no hitters, I don't know, 20 strikeout games, fill in the blank of single season or single game record. I think it's more common than most, but that's very interesting for a grand slam to be a part of that. It would be interesting to see once again how many times a single has been missed just because of a single. There was always the cycle has been missed because of a single. Sorry about that. There was always that story about Tony Gwynn in like the early 90s. Such a quiet guy, a team player. He gets pulled. All he needs is a single. Padres have never had a cycle ever. All he needs is a single. He gets pulled. No one tells the manager. He doesn't go up and tell him, hey, let me get one more at bat. But anyways, It's those definitely that single missing cycle. That's a great little nugget, and we might have to go find how many of those there are. But grand slam cycles, that's probably very few. I'll be honest with you.
And he was 3 for 4. He did get walked in his third at bat. So his first at bat was a double. The second one happened to be that grand slam in the second inning. The sixth inning, we saw him triple, and then his final at bat of the night is pretty much where he lost it. He flied out to right. If it was on the ground, he probably would have had the cycle. I'm not salty. Ohtani went 3 for 5, and he did pitch last night against Zach Plesac, which is unfortunate for me because I have both of them on my fantasy team. So pitching wise, Ohtani went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. He did give up two of those runs as well. And then once came up with the other 2, and then Myers gave up 1. But hey, they still won 9-5 with a grand slam. I will take it. And in that same game, Trout went 2 for 3, and he did get pulled later. I don't know if it was for injury or anything. Maybe they just wanted to save him. But he doubled and pretty much scored Ward in that first inning. He flied out, then he walked, and then he doubled again. So it was a night of doubles for Trout. And up next, they have their final game against the Guardians tonight, and then Friday through Monday they have White Sox, and then the Red Sox Tuesday through Thursday. And look, the Red Sox are not doing the greatest right about now. But hey, neither are the White Sox, but they're still in second.
Yeah, well, that both Centrals are a little. I mean, both Centrals are doing Central things. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But no, I think obviously, you take that Orioles situation out, and I think you have to be pretty positive right now if you are an Angels fan. Even with that little hiccup, it is what it is. But I think the Angels are building now, and it's the pitching is keeping them in games for the most part. They're obviously, like all teams, the pitching gets out, but for the Angels, I think that's one of the biggest things. Ohtani is going to do Ohtani things, that even if with the CPR, he'll get rolling. Trout the same way. Trout's going to be on that level. And then you got guys like Taylor and Adele, if they can step up as well. Shoot, I forgot his name. He hasn't Rendon. Is Rendon still out?
No, he did hit a home run.
Okay, he is playing
at one point. I don't remember which day it was though.
Okay, so as long as he's healthy, that's my because Rendon. That's my first question: is Rendon healthy? And if he is, hopefully he can hit 260, 270. He's going to be overpaid. We kind of just know that. Might not have been the greatest contract ever, but if the Angels can make the playoffs and we can get Trout and Ohtani into October, that is the best thing that could happen for baseball. Really, to be completely honest.
So I'm trying to find if anybody's hit a cycle with a grand slam, but I found one for softball from a few days ago in Bangor. Grand slam and a cycle.
Bangor, is that a city? I apologize.
I believe it's in Maine.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah. Okay, nice. So a high school team or like a professional team? I apologize.
High school, and final score is 24-0.
Oh. Hey, they added a field goal when the Cubs couldn't. Well, yeah, it's that's definitely probably one of the more, rarer, is that a word? More rare. Sorry. Well, anyways, cycles in baseball with that grand slam. But as I said, as we get ready to dive into May, I think the Angels have to feel pretty good about where they're sitting currently. So with that, moving into the Padres side of things, obviously, it was not a great weekend this past weekend for the Padres. They lose 2 out of 3. They get a big win the first in the middle game where they walk off against the Dodgers. But the Dodgers, for the most part, handled the Padres with relative ease. And that's a little concerning if you are a Padre fan. The Padres, however, do sit at 12-7. They have a chance to go 13-7 as the Padres are currently leading the Reds 1-0 in the top of the third, going for a second straight sweep of the Reds. The good news, they're going to possibly be 6-0 against the Reds. The bad news, they don't play them anymore the rest of the year. And if the Padres do get this win, they'll be 13-7 overall. but they'll be 7-7 against all teams not named Cincinnati. And we'll get into the Reds here in a minute. The Cincinnati Reds are a bad baseball team, if you already didn't know. But with that, for the Padres, looking at the specifics, first guy I want to talk about is Mckenzie Gore. This is a left-handed pitcher who was drafted out of high school as the top high school pitcher, maybe ever. He had an ERA of 0.14. I think he gave up 1 earned run in 89 innings in his career. And for 4 or 5 years kind of was in the minors. There was a lot of talk about him, a lot of questions. Would he make it? Would he make it? He finally broke the roster last week and made his second start. His third start overall, second against the Reds. Last night, he was dealing 10 strikeouts in 5 innings for the 23-year-old lefty. He is really looking like the real deal. On the other side of the ball, you have Eric Hosmer, who is currently at bat right now, as I say that, has already driven in a run. And if you ask Padre fans what's maybe one of the worst contracts the Padres have ever signed, Hosmer will be at the top of that list. Maybe not the number one, but he'll be a top 5 bad contract. However, this year he is looking really good, sniffing 400 overall. He has an OPS over 1,000. And has been just a great power source for the Padres. Manny Machado doing the same thing, but that's probably more expected than Hosmer. The last thing we want to talk about on the field is the defense. The Padres defensively are as good as it gets. Jurickson Profar has thrown 4 players out. He already has 4 outfield assists, and we are not even through the first month yet. The Padres defensively, it's not going to jump out, and it's not the sexy part of the game. But if you play good, solid defense, you're going to have a chance in some of those games. And the Padres have to do that in this division where the Giants and Dodgers look like they are the class. The Rockies starting to kind of come back to earth. Padres are going to have to try and find their way in to get into that wild card spot. I don't think the division is theirs for the taking. But looking ahead for the Padres, hopefully we'll be 13-7 heading into the weekend if they hold on here against the Reds, still very early. But looking ahead, a lot of winnable games on the horizon for the Padres. Obviously today with the Reds, 3 in Pittsburgh against the Pirates, and then they head to Cleveland to take on the Guardians for 2 next week before heading back home to face the Marlins for 4 and the Cubs for 3. The Padres are better than all of those teams. In those 12 games, you're probably going to need to go 8-4 if you want to keep pace with these teams in the West. So for the Padres, I don't want to say an easy schedule, but a schedule that sets up favorably for them. They are going to be on the road for a lot of this, but I think they're going to be just fine. They keep getting the pitching, they keep getting the fielding, and they keep getting some key hits when they need it. I think the Padres will be just fine. Just need to keep this going. Try and aim for second place in that division. Third, maybe good enough to get you into the playoffs, but that's kind of the goal right now for the Padres. Just keep winning series and see where the chips fall when we get deeper into the season. So with that, we're going to be moving on to our 3 up, 3 down segment. As I pull up my notes. First up is going to be, unfortunately, the Yankees, and we're talking about on the field stuff. This isn't up for the fans. We already talked about that. But for the Yankees, they are obviously one of the best teams in baseball right now. It pains me to say it. They've won. Let me just make sure it is still an active win streak. Yes, they have won 5 in a row. They are 12-6 overall, 8-2 in their last 10, have a half game lead on Toronto, and 2-game lead on Tampa, 4.5 on Boston. But, as much as it pains us to see it, the Yankees playing very well. The injury bug, always kind of that issue lingering in the background for them. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts on the Yankees looking good early?
I don't want them to look good early.
That's okay. We're going to even it out though.
Yes,
momentarily. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's the first down of the day.
Yes.
I'm gonna have so much fun with that one.
Yep.
I figured you are too. You knew as soon as I took the downs, you knew exactly who I was putting in, but you would have done the same. So those freaking Yankees.
Yeah.
Like just move down, please. Go to a down. I'll take that.
Yeah, or just stay off the list.
Yeah, that's it.
We don't want you on the up at all.
along with one other team we don't want on the up.
Yeah, they luckily aren't there this week. I don't think I could have, but I didn't. But Bryanna, what is our first down of the week?
Oh, I'm having to have so much fun with this. The first down of the week is going to be those dirty cheaters themselves, the Astros. They are 4th in the American League West, and they're 4-6 in their last 10 games. They've lost 2 to the Blue Jays, 2 to the Mariners. They lost 1 to Arizona in a 10-inning game on Wednesday, and then they've lost 1 of 3 against the Rangers so far, but they still have 1 more game to play for that one. And they are 2.5 games back of the Angels, which is exactly what I want to see. Yeah,
it's obviously a little bit of a slow start for them. I would love for them to stay below 500. I would love it. They are cheaters. And unless they play the Dodgers, I will cheer for the other team every single time. If they do play the Dodgers, let me help you cheat. But anyways, for the Astros, I think the pitching has always been their thing. I think they can hit. I think they have a lineup that's going to probably compare with most when they're on their best. They're obviously struggling right now, but it's the pitching for me that's always been a bit of an issue since Greinke and Cole left. It's difficult. I'm going to put it to you that way for the Astros, especially in that division where, the A's are maybe surprising some people in front of the 15 fans that show up in their stadium. And then obviously the Mariners are looking like the real deal. And then of course the Angels, who I think all baseball fans are pulling for. If you're outside of that division, just the fact that we want to see Ohtani and Trout play in October. So I think a lot of baseball fans are excited about the Astros struggling. I would caution everyone to just enjoy it now. I don't think the Astros are going to stay below 500. But if they do, you bet your bottom dollar, Bryanna is going to remind you every single podcast. And I will too, believe me. But moving on to our second up of the week. It's a team that we haven't talked about on this side of the ups in a very long time. I don't know if we've ever done it since we've done 3 up, 3 down. So possibly making their debut on the upside of things, the Miami Marlins. They are 9-8. They've won 4 in a row. They are 3.5 games behind the Mets, who are playing great ball. But for the Marlins, 9-8, maybe other teams would kind of feel okay being there. But the Marlins have some talent. They have some young players. And despite Derek Jeter leaving in the offseason, this right here, I think, shows you what I believe it's Kim Na. I believe that's how you pronounce her name, the general manager of the Marlins. She's obviously done a great job getting this team at least competitive. I don't think anyone's expecting the Marlins to make the playoffs. I don't think anyone's expecting the Marlins to win the World Series. But if the Marlins can finish in 3rd in this division, ahead of, maybe the Phillies, maybe the Braves, that would be very interesting. Long way to go, but I did want to give the Marlins a little bit of dap. I don't think they've ever been on here. So I just saw it and I went, hey, you know what? Come on up to the big kids table. See how you like it up here. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts? Marlins 9-8, sitting in second place, winners of 4 in a row.
They may be winning 4 in a row, but I don't think the fish are going to stay like that.
Yeah.
They're going to move down quick, but it's going to depend on when. There's still a lot of baseball to play, which could be said for pretty much any team on this list, except for the last down.
Yes. The last down is officially on down retirement watch. We might have to get them.
I thought we were doing that next week.
Yeah, I mean, if it keeps going, we're gonna have a funeral for them, or a memorial service. But we'll get to that in a moment. The Padres have a chance to kind of put a big 4 L's on the Marlins. They have that coming up, I believe, next week. If I already lost the notes, but anyways, good for the Marlins. It's nice. Jazz Chisholm. And that's about it. I don't know how many people can name a whole lot of players on the Marlins. Let's be honest. I could name a lot more players that have been traded away from the Marlins that are actually on the Marlins currently. But what is our second down of the week, Bryanna?
I mean, we talked about him a little bit earlier. It's going to be the White Sox. They're not. Okay, they're still pretty high up in standings in the Central. It's still not like our last down, and I'm sure we're going to see the White Sox in the up later. But they went 2 for 8 in their last 10. But to our surprise, Minnesota is in first. It's probably not going to last long.
It's the Central. The Central is so weird.
The Twins are weird.
Yes.
Because nobody thought they were going to be good this early. Again, a lot of baseball to play. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. The White Sox, like you said, they might be 7-10, 2-8 in their last 10, but they're still in second place, 2.5 games back. I don't think, excuse me, I don't think if you're a White Sox fan, you're panicked. You're probably not happy, but you're not panicked. Even if you're a White Sox bettor, or you have a bet on this team to win the division, I don't think you throw that ticket away yet. You don't cash that out yet. This team's going to win the division. They're, if anything, this proves to us. I mean, the Twins are on a 6-game winning streak. They're probably not going to win 4 in a row the rest of the year. They're just not that good. I mean, I know they're playing well, but for the White Sox, I think more than likely we will see them maybe not on the upside of things right away, but they're going to stay off of this list, I think, going forward. And if not, well, wide open. That division is wide open. I really expected a lot more out of Detroit. They're 6-11, 4-game losing streak. But really right now, that division's wide open. I would say for second place. But like I said, if the White Sox can't figure it out here in the next month, the race could be on, and that Central could be a very interesting run to the end. So our final up of the week, it's a little close to home for me, but it's not as close as it could be with the Dodgers, but it is the San Francisco Giants. And look, they're on fire. They did lose last night. They're 13-6, a half game up on the Dodgers. They're playing good ball. Same thing they did last year. Pitching, defense, timely hitting. Gabe Kapler has turned himself into a pretty, I don't know if he turned himself, but he's having a great, second year with the Giants. Actually, third year, I believe. Anyways, don't quote me on that. But he's turned things around with this team. Obviously, a few years back in the COVID shortened season, not a lot of expectations, almost made the playoffs. Last year, kind of same thing, lower expectations, end up having the best record in baseball. And they're 13-6, a half game behind the Mets for the best record in the National League. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts? The Giants, 13-6, one of the best teams in baseball, final up of the week.
I mean, if it's not going to be the Padres, we'd rather it just be anybody that's not the Dodgers.
Amen.
If the Padres can't win the division, which, sorry, but I don't see them winning the division. No. I want it to be the Giants. The Giants were able to do it last year. They're doing really well right now. Yes, it's going to be neck and neck between them and the Dodgers for a little bit. And it's just going to be fluctuating between the two. We will see.
Yeah,
but we'd rather see San Francisco up top.
100%, 11 times out of 10. If it's very interesting, you look at the West, and the NL West has 4 teams with double-digit wins. The rest of the National League has 3 combined. It's very, very interesting how this is going to go. Once again, I thought Colorado was going to be good, or not good. I thought they were going to be better than they were last year. I may have stuck my foot in my mouth saying they were going to be better than the Giants. That was probably
you did.
Much. We're not there yet. I'm not backing off of that, but it doesn't look good. But I did expect the Rockies to be better than they were last year. I think they're playing that, and I'm gonna also shout out the Diamondbacks in this division. They're 8-11 now. Once again, nothing.
Not the worst
amazing.
Team in baseball.
Sorry. Oh yeah, but we're talking about a team that lost 115 games last year. I mean, if they can keep it under 100 losses this year, that manager needs to get some manager of the year votes, because that division's tough. And I also do want to throw out a honorable mention down. I really wanted to put them in there. The Dodgers for losing 2 to the Diamondbacks. Yeah, that right there should be enough for you to make it down. But
they didn't do as much as these other teams did.
No, not even close. Especially this last one that has taken the down list to another level, folks. Bryanna, give us it, even though we all kind of know who it is.
It's the worst team in baseball. It's the Cincinnati Reds. They are 1-9 in their last 10. They are 3-15 overall. They have a -47 differential, and they are 8.5 games back of Milwaukee, and they are currently only losing 1-0.
Well, yeah. I mean, I will say Molly, or I don't know if that's how you pronounce Molly or Maul. Anyways, Mahle. He's probably their best pitcher. So he's pitching pretty well right now. And if the Padres do get this win, they'll finish the season series up against the Reds at 6-0.
And if they do get this win, the Reds go 0 for 10 in their last 10.
Yep. It's been a real rough one for them there. If they do lose this, they'd be 3-16. I just can't believe they're already 4.5 games behind the Or I'm sorry, excuse me, 8.5 games behind.
Oh, no, never mind. They're still going to be 1-9. They beat the Cardinals a few days ago.
Yeah.
My bad. We want them to be 0-10.
They could be coming. Let's be honest. But I'm just pulling up their schedule right now, seeing if there's any,
they have the Rockies.
Yeah,
they have the Rockies next.
Colorado.
And then they have the Brewers.
Ugh.
And then the Pirates.
And then the Pirates, and then the Brewers again, and then the Pirates. Yeah, it's not going to get any.
And then the Cubs later in the month.
Yeah, it's not going to get any easier for the Reds. But I do think they are going to probably start playing some of their central opponents. So that might help because they've been playing a lot of Dodger, Giant, Padre stuff. They did a lot.
Oh no, they've got Giants at the last week of May.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they're going to lose 100 games easily. I mean, I just saw another error from the Reds live. Couldn't throw out Alfaro, who I'm pretty sure, molasses is faster than that guy. But the Reds we expected to be bad, but this
not
is
this bad.
Yeah, this is historic bad. I would have said this maybe about the Orioles or the Diamondbacks. But the Reds, yikes. It's got to be very tough. Well, and we also have to remember that I believe on opening day, they had an interview with the owner, and the owner has been coming under a lot of fire and pretty much, hey, why don't you put money into this team, blah, blah, blah. And he essentially looked at him and said, look, it could be some other guy who's going to come in and pillage this. Like, at least it's me. Pretty much trust the devil, not the one you don't. It's really bad in Cincinnati. Best of luck to that fan base going forward, but this is going to be a long 5 months remaining. I don't see this team getting any better anytime soon. I could make the case, obviously, for the White Sox. You can make the case for the Astros that they'll
unfortunately
get out. Unfortunately, right? We don't want them to, but more than likely these down teams, most of them can get out. We're telling you this right now. We may have a retirement ceremony next week for the Reds. If the Reds are still one of our teams that meet our down criteria, they will be retired and will not be eligible for the down list going forward, which is crazy because I thought the Orioles were going to be the first team on that. And it's not
going to be the Diamondbacks. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. And neither of those teams, I know the Orioles were our first week, but I don't think we've talked about the Arizona on that side of bad things.
Not yet.
Yeah. And I'm almost positive the Reds have been on this list every single week. So we'll see how that goes. But Bryanna, final thoughts on this edition of the Changeup.
Well, first, those poor Red fans. Second, Angels better keep this up. I don't want to see the Astros come back.
I gotta say,
if the Mariners take the division, I will be okay with that, as long as it is not Houston.
Gotcha. Because I was gonna say, I think right now the Mariners may be that team in that division that the Angels got to kind of watch out for, and that's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, obviously, you want the Angels to do the best as possible. But the Mariners are also a team that's very, very exciting to watch, very fun. And we know our friend Tim Chad from Twitter. I'll give him credit. 2 years ago, he said, watch out for the Mariners. And I just kind of laughed him off. Well, the joke's on me now. They've definitely built a hell of a team there. So congratulations to them. But they got to keep that rolling. And my final thought will just be kind of going back to the Yankee thing, the fan thing. Just there's always that thing, oh, I bought the ticket, it gives me the right to boo or do that. It really doesn't. It does give you the right to boo and, maybe
not throw things,
not be toxic. And I remember one time I'm going to date myself right now, but back when the Padres played at what it was called Jack Murphy, but was maybe better known as Qualcomm Stadium. I was sitting in the right field bleachers and Dante Bichette was out in left field bleachers. And there was a guy who told me, yeah, that guy's actual first name isn't Dante. it's not Dante, it's Francis. Dante's his middle name. And I, as an 8-year-old, oh, his name's Francis? That's a girl's name. So the whole time we're screaming, Francis. That right there, I mean, maybe not the greatest thing for an 8-year-old, but that's the heckling that I think, that the players are kind of used to. And it's the time when you throw things. It's the time when you cheer for people to get injured. I mean, first and foremost, be a human being, then be a fan. Like, is that too much to ask? You paying X number of dollars to get into the stadium does not give you carte blanche to no longer be a human being. Those players are getting paid a lot of money to play a kid's game. I understand that. And some of that backlash or some of the reason why is they have to kind of keep their head about themselves. I don't blame Miles Straw or any of those guys for getting upset, but just the end of the day, you go to a baseball game, you go to any sporting event, have fun. Don't throw things at people. Don't fight. Don't do those things. It's really not that big of a deal because at the end of the day, we all got to wake up and go to work the next day, no matter what our team does. Let's be honest. No one's getting paid unless you're betting on them. No one's getting paid a bonus for your team winning that single game. So just remember that. Go out, be decent human beings. I don't think I'm asking for too much there, but with that, thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Changeup presented by the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench, but we are first. It is time for you all to go wash your hands and stop hating everybody. Stop throwing things at players. And it is time. Yep, there you go. I threw that extra one in and I screwed up my whole ending, but thank you all so much for listening. We'll talk to you all next week. Enjoy. Have a great weekend.